In 1540, the Avraham Avinu Synagogue is established in Hebron and Jewish life flourishes. Jews and Arabs coexist for centuries in Hebron until the 1920s, when fundamentalist Arab nationalism culminates in the brutal riots of 1929. The Jewish community is massacred. 69 Jews, the elderly, rabbis, students, women, children, doctors, nurses, are murdered, and the community is soon destroyed. In the War of Independence of 1948, Hebron, along with the rest of Judea and Samaria, is taken by the Jordanians and annexed. King Hussein orders the Avraham Avinu Synagogue razed and converted to a goat pen and public toilet, along with the ancient Jewish cemetery. The body of the Jewish community is stilled, but Jews vow to return one day. That day comes over 30 years later, in June 1967. It is the Six-Day War, itself a legend. Israel's victory in a war for survival returns Hebron to Jewish rule for the first time in centuries, and Jewish prayer is heard again at the tombs of the patriarchs. In the spring of 1968, Rabbi Moshe Levinger and his wife Miriam lead 120 Jews to celebrate Passover in Hebron for the first time in over 30 years. After staying in the Park Hotel in Hebron, the group decides to remain and settle there despite government opposition. For 3 difficult years, the group remains living in an army camp, fighting for the right to resettle Hebron. In 1971, a partial victory. The Israeli government decides to build the suburb of Kiryat Arba outside Hebron. Today, Kiryat Arba is a growing, vibrant community of 6,000 Jews. It is trees growing where none grew before, new homes, schools, yeshivot, its residents from around the world, and even the newest Jewish immigrants, the ancient Jewish community of Ethiopia. It is the surge and hum of industry, as technologies old and new are harnessed and developed. It is the sweet wines from Hebron's ancient vineyards, replanted anew. It is the Ulpana Girls' Academy for young women of many backgrounds, countries, and ethnic groups. Jews, modern and from ancient stocks, learning the skills of tomorrow, but living the heritage of the past. It is now 1979, and one night the Jews decide the time is right to return. Mrs. Miriam Levinger and a group of women and children decide to reclaim the former Hadassah clinic, Beit Hadassah. Secretly entering the building at night, they refuse to leave. Conditions at first in Hadassah House are primitive. The Israeli government opposes the return. Women and children remain for months. Finally, the government relents. Men are allowed to join their families. A great victory is won, and the restoration of the Jewish quarter is begun, led by a renowned Soviet Jewish physicist, Professor Ben-Zion Tavger, who single-handedly restores the ruined Avraham Avinu Synagogue and the Jewish cemetery. Soon, Beit Hadassah is occupied by several families. Its basement is restored to house a museum for the victims of the 1929 massacre and the Hebron archives. A courtyard cafe brings refreshment to visitors and residents alike. Then tragedy strikes suddenly and bitterly. In May 1980, Arab terrorists positioned on rooftops opposite Hadassah House opened fire on a group of yeshiva students from Kiryat Arba who had come to conduct Sabbath evening services for the women of Beit Hadassah. 6 boys are killed. Many are wounded. The community is deeply stunned. The dead include some of Hebron's most promising youth. The community and the Israeli government react swiftly. A yeshiva is established in downtown Hebron in memory of the 6 boys, and the government agrees to allow Jews to resettle and restore the old Jewish quarter. But Professor Tavger passes away before his work is fully completed. But today, old Hebron lives anew. Its ancient stony walls and alleys buzz with the sounds of building, reclaiming, reconstruction, as old Jewish dwellings are restored and reoccupied by young Jewish families. It is today 400 Jews in Hebron and 6,000 in Kiryat Arba, spearheading a movement of 120 settlements and 130,000 Jews in Judea and Samaria. Once again, Hebron is the mother of settlement. It is minutes from Old Hebron to the newest Jewish neighborhood of Tel Rumeda, but thousands of years in time. There's much to be done, trees to be planted, young voices to be listened to, for the children have returned. Hebron is many things to many people. But beyond even the historical and emotional ties Jews feel for this eternal city, Hebron and its surrounding hills are of vital importance to the security of Israel, as from its heights it commands the approaches to Jerusalem and the Israeli coastal plain and Tel Aviv. Hebron is a living example of the collective memory. Hebron is song and stories. It is tales told from generation to generation. It is the faces of the young, its settlers, determined to push back the past and challenge the future. It is history and heritage and hopes, now smiles and the laughter of children and the sounds of prayer. For these are powerful truths, and all part of the fabric of the land and people of Israel. For indeed they have willed it, and it is no longer a dream but a reality, for the children have returned to walk the land.
שיבוא לך בטרם כל יציא נברא לי אין נסוד לחפש כל הזי בלב שמו נקרא לי אחרי כתבות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא הוא היה והוא עובד והוא יהיה ותפרע לא למה שיבוא לך בטרם כל יציא נברא לי אין נסוד לחפש כל הזי